sometimes, you have a killer ad, has great CTRs, but it's not converting. So you're asking yourself, what's going on here? A lot of people try to iterate and make the ad better, and that's not always the case. If you have the stats you're looking for on the ad level, maybe that next step is, and usually is, optimizing and just making a better landing page at the end of the day. So that linear experience is lacking a ton in the industry when it comes to landing pages.
Hey, what's up, everybody, and welcome to Growth Mentors, the podcast where we share snackable growth hacks, strategies, and best practices in how to drive maximum marketing impact and grow your bottom line. I'm your host, Matt LeBlanc, and today we are going to be talking about landing page mastery, unveiling the secrets to conversion success, with Chris Ayaz, the Senior Creative Director at Jump 450. The OG, employee number one. Chris's information runs so deep in so many different areas. I'm really excited to be talking to you today, Chris. I know that your landing page knowledge in particular is super rich. So perfect topic for you.
Appreciate it, Matt. Thanks for having me on.
Chris, why don't you just start by just telling us a little bit about your background and your role and kind of how you got here?
Yeah, sounds great. Hey all, I'm Chris Ayaz, Senior Creative Director here at Jump 450 Media. I come from a corporate marketing background, and my journey with Jump actually began at its inception. I've been in the industry for over a decade now and lead the entire creative team here. Also have a deep understanding of both brand-focused and direct response-focused creatives, and also play a pivotal role in influencing and creating ads, and specifically landing pages as well, with the cumulative spends of hundreds of millions of dollars over my career as well.
Yeah, so Chris, you have definitely been a mentor to me in my time at Jump, and like I say, you've got a lot of knowledge in a lot of different areas. I hope to have you back on future episodes to talk about some different topics. But landing pages in particular, I feel like are really sort of specialized area for you. So why don't we start by just talking about why this is important for people to hear?
This is an extremely important topic today because, landing pages serve as the initial touch point, right? With potential customers. Yep. It's your first impression. We all know first impression is extremely important. Optimizing this experience is paramount for achieving higher conversion rates. A lot of times companies, will create a landing page or a homepage, website, and that'll be it.
Right.
They think, now they have to focus on the ad level and continue improving on the ad level, but they kind of forget, the landing page becomes an afterthought. And I believe now more than ever, especially now as more people are online and purchasing with mobile, it's extremely important to fully optimize this landing page process and test multiple different types of landing pages at the end of the day, because different people resonate with different messages or visuals and whatnot. Widely speaking, many businesses, like I said before, lack a specialized strategy and knowledge behind what it takes to make an effective LP. So they fail when it comes to, the customer journey. And today, I'm really excited to be talking about, how we can improve the customer journey, how we can improve engagement on your landing pages, how we can increase my favorite part, how we can increase conversions on landing pages.
I really love what you said about, a lot of companies, they sort of set up a landing page and then they kind of let it go, and that's it. Some of the work that I've done on different accounts with you is, landing pages that we're testing, we're almost A/B testing landing pages, very similarly to the way that we A/B test different creative in ads, but really running through a variety of different strategies and kind of seeing what type of landing page, what format is going to work best for a certain type of business. And it always amazes me how much people seem surprised by this. It seems like a lot of people do not know kind of about the options that they have in landing pages and all the opportunity that they're really leaving on the table by not testing.
Yeah, 100%, Matt. At the end of the day, it's not just about your main website. Obviously, you want to continue to optimize and make that, the best experience possible for your customers. But there are other tactics we could use too, in forms of advertorials, in forms of bridge pages, We'd like to start with your main website and move on to advertorials as we continue to test.
Let's just give like a little bit of context on landing pages.
Sure.
Maybe kind of a rough, like sort of like definition, kind of what are they, or maybe how did people think about them before versus how are they kind of more thought about now? Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Web pages, landing pages, they're carefully crafted and designed with a specific goal in mind. Whether it's to capture leads, make a sale, guide visitors to take a particular action, this is what they're all about. In our industry, the concept of landing pages, though, has really evolved over these past few years, though, Matt. Initially, they were static pages with basic information, but today they're dynamic and tailored experiences, really tailored, customized experiences for your target market. And with the rise of more and more online marketing and e-com, landing pages have really become extremely instrumental in shaping user journeys and influencing conversions at the end of the day. Landing pages are really more important than ever before in history in our industry.
Absolutely. No, that's great context. So why don't we just talk through like very common things that we see businesses doing wrong with their landing pages? What are some of the common mistakes that we see?
Yeah. There's a good amount of mistakes I see time and time again, but some of the ones that stick out to me, Matt, are most importantly not really taking advantage of the above the fold part of your website. Weak headlines, not taking advantage of maybe putting a video or strong image above that fold in the hero spot. Mm-hmm. People forget about video sometimes that, those also belong on landing pages, and it's always worth a test. And usually it's actually performs a lot better than a static image in an area. It helps provide more information in the form of video if people, aren't in the mood to read that day or whatnot. So it just gives us an extra point of a place to really convince them about the benefits of our product on that specific page.
Yeah.
Also, a lot of times some pages are they're overly complicated. There's unclear or confusing call to actions. Some people don't use direct language or change the language for specific demos. At times, for instance, if you have a lead page, you're requiring way too much information to be filled out. It turns people off. Mm-hmm. And some other points, Matt, maybe, burying important social proof and earned media praise. Sometimes it's non-existent. Sometimes it's all the way at the bottom, like tiny. We really, this is an extremely important part as well, because people feel extremely comfortable when other users have had a great experience with the product.
Right.
And it just gives a little more confidence in their purchase at the end of the day. Some other things, Matt, would be just cluttered layouts, not a smooth flow, broken links. Obviously, we always got to triple check that. And at the end of the day, the one thing that always sticks out to me too is just really not having the best linear experience from ad level to landing page level. Sometimes, you have a killer ad, has great CTRs, but it's not converting. So you're asking yourself, what's going on here? A lot of people try to iterate and make the ad better, and that's not always the case. You have to really, if you have to add the stats you're looking for on the ad level, maybe that next step is, and usually is, optimizing and just making a better landing page at the end of the day. So that linear experience is lacking a ton in the industry when it comes to landing pages.
Yeah. A couple things I was just sort of thinking while you were talking there. The top of the fold, commonly you've got kind of like your hero image at the top of the fold, and then you'll do sort of like different buckets of value propositions, right? That kind of like go sort of right under that. And so often I feel like one of the first things that will sort of adjust on a client's landing page is all of those 4 buckets go under the fold. So when you get to the landing page, you can't see them. If you just move them up this much higher, it's like so much more information to kind of be able to to kind of like
Yeah.
take in right away.
Yeah, 100%. So just for anybody who doesn't know what above the fold is, that's literally before you make your first scroll into the next
Yeah.
section of the landing page. So that part's extremely, extremely important. There are different formats we could use, but it always starts with the most compelling and relatable headline to your target market. And then secondly, either that image or video spot with maybe a few bullet points. Again, it depends on what industry you're in, what's your actual goal. But that main focus, if I were to say you would have to iterate or really focus on one part of the landing page, it would be that top above the fold section. Extremely, extremely important. If that's not strong, that potential customer is out of there. People's attention spans these days are less and less. It's like maybe a second or two. So if we really don't capture their attention with that headline, with that above the fold copy and video or image, we're going to lose them. And, all that data, that good data that we got on the ad level is now almost pointless, because we lost them on the landing page. So it's extremely important. All the sections of a landing page are extremely important, but that's by far number one to iterate off of as well. So even if, your landing page is doing well, why not make it better? Why not continue optimizing, continue growing and scaling and engaging with new cohorts and whatnot?
Yeah, I know. Another thing that you said, I think we've done this on some landing pages that we've worked together on is, you talked about people burying the social proof too far down the page. And I've actually had a couple instances where we've taken that social proof that they have buried at the very bottom, thinking, oh, it's kind of an afterthought, and moved it all the way to the top, whether it be like a quote or a review or whatever it be, kind of really compelling social proof that even lives there above the fold. Yeah.
Well, above the fold in potentially a video format and a retargeting campaign with social proof works really well. When it comes to prospecting, I typically like to put it somewhat in the middle of the page, just because I'm focusing on the product above the fold and really trying to sell people on the benefits and any other great qualities they may have, and then followed up by maybe some more information depending on the product again or industry, but then followed up by social proof. Rather than burying it all the way at the bottom, let's have people feel like they could relate to this person. Let's see some proof that this product works, or other people went through issues, it solved their issue. I have the same issue. I want this product now. Things like that are extremely important. The more we could use social proof in our landing pages, in our ads, wherever we can, the more beneficial it will be. And, even when it comes to social proof, the old ways of doing it was literally just, slapping on some quotes at the bottom of your page. And now it's much different. We could even, I've even created landing pages that my section for social proof was, 3 or 4 videos actually with the quote beneath it. Yeah. So this way, if people are reading and they just want to watch videos and scan the page, at least they'll be able to view something in that way and feel a little more confidence in their purchase that they're about to make.
Yeah. I wanted to get like a little specific about the different elements actually that we're seeing there above the fold. So in terms of headlines, can you talk to us a little bit about philosophy on the type of headline that you like to test above the fold? I feel like the thing that I see a lot is a lot of like very brand focused, sort of broader headlines. And then the adjustment that we're making is going a lot more direct. Yeah.
Yeah. A lot more direct, strong statements, depending on the angle, maybe asking a question that the person reading the page can relate to and wants answered as well. Mm-hmm. Again, it depends on the demo. It depends on the target in the industry, but it's extremely important. We're not just trying to make something extremely polished, so to say, and brandy, so to say. We really need to have a fusion of direct response copy and brand copy. And that's what 2024 is really going to be about. That fusion between direct response and brand is really what I think is going to get people to the next level, and companies to the next level, I would say, when it comes to performance marketing. But yeah, when it comes to the headline, Matt, yeah, it's extremely important to really not overcomplicate it, split test, have a strong statement that really attracts and resonates with people, or shocks people too, even, if you want to go that route, a shock factor, a fear factor. And so when it comes to the headline, still trying to be in line with the brand always helps, but, really pushing the client to be able to kind of go outside of their comfort zone, so to say, so we can create more direct response feel when it comes to that above the fold copy.
Yeah. What about just jumping around a little bit here? What about CTAs, call to action? Thoughts on having a call to action above the fold? I know that even more than that, there's a lot of consideration with like how many calls to action to use, throughout a page, the language that you use on them. We're going to be jumping into best practices across the board in a little bit here, but can you talk maybe a little bit more specifically about things that we see people doing wrong in terms of calls to action?
Yeah, just overly complicating it, unclear, confusing call to actions. Not using direct language or changing the language on CTAs throughout the page. Just because the CTA is buy now and you have it in a few different spots, it doesn't have to be buy now, in every single location. Mm-hmm. Three things when it comes to call to actions, I would say, to try at least. There's different ways to take advantage of the call to action. One would be sprinkle it throughout, maybe in 3 or 4 different locations. So if people don't really feel like reading so much, or if they really got attracted to the first paragraph, there's a CTA there, they click, we did our job. That's great. Yeah. Another way would be, I would say, sticky CTA. This is more for advertorials. So as you scroll, the CTA just stays at the bottom. You're viewing it the whole time. It's sticky, so to say. Okay. And then the last one is more of a curiosity-evoking call to action. It's all the way at the bottom. It's pretty prominent. Sometimes it offers like a discount, but we want the viewer or the reader to actually read the full article. This way we qualify them more. And by the time they get to the CTA at the bottom, hopefully we sold them. This we see a lot in like longer format advertorials. But again, I love to test. So I like to do all 3 different formats. We also have seen, specifically in e-com and health and beauty, that above the fold CTAs do really work well because it gives them the option. They got attracted to the really powerful headline. They're watching the video or, get a good idea of what's kind of the company's all about. Right. And you have a little buy now button or shop now button. At least they have the option to buy now, without going, further on and spending another 2-3 minutes on the page. So we got them to the checkout now. And I think testing different sorts of CTAs, different sorts of pages is always beneficial. And depending on the industry, you're going to find some really cool things and some great winners the more you continue to optimize.
Yeah, no, that's such a great specific about sort of beauty and stuff, having the call to action above the fold. Can you think of maybe some common industries that you've seen where it works really well to sort of save the call to action for the bottom of the page to really qualify the potential customer before giving them that option?
Yeah, I think long form advertorials to me are one of my favorites. They're super qualifying, and on purpose, I put the call to actions all the way at the bottom. And when I say long form, you have your typical homepage websites. That's 1-2 pages. We consider that, right? Yeah. You have your advertorial. That's a 1-pager, just some information and benefits. But then you got a long form. I'm talking. This is tremendous for a 50+ demo as well. So if your product kind of fits in that demo, this is highly recommended test that I've been doing for years and spent millions on, with some really, really great data. And I put the call to action all the way at the bottom, of these really long form advertorials. I'm talking, 5, 10, 15 page
Wow.
advertorials where the older demo actually has the time and wants to sit there and wants to, read through and really get informed about this wonderful product that you're trying to sell. So I put this call to action all the way at the bottom on purpose because I want them to read all the way through. But if they do get all the way through, and a lot of times they do, by the time they get to that call to action, they're sold even
Yeah.
more than what a website could do, what a video could do. These long form advertorials are incredible for that older demographic if that fits your strategy there.
Yeah. That's a great recommendation. Thank you for that. Before kind of moving on to best practices and recommendations, I feel like we're sort of leaning in there a little bit, but is there anything else that we want to talk through in terms of just most common mistakes that we see people make? You had mentioned requiring too much information to be filled out in a lead form. I know there's a lot of talk about, whether the lead form, when we say lead form, we of course mean, the customer entering, their name, their, a bunch of personal information basically about themselves. And I know there's a lot of strategy, whether that belongs at the top of the page, the bottom of the page. How much is too much, do you think?
I think anything more than 3 or 4 questions or needs is too much. At the end of the day, everybody's attention span and willingness to fill out information is dwindling away, as we know it. So we really gotta hit them right away, right out of the gate, and make it as simple as possible. I say this not to kind of dumb it down, but when we ask questions or even when we write copy, we're supposed to make it so simple because everybody's different, right? Not everybody's on the same educational level. Not everybody, it speaks the language the same even. So I try to keep it at a 5th to 7th grade level, if that makes sense, when it comes to writing the copy, just so it's easily attainable. This is an industry standard as well. So just something to keep in mind when you are trying to, write copy to a specific demographic.
How do you feel about a lead gen form above the fold?
I love it above the fold. So I've tested it below, above, in the middle. Above the fold is when it comes to lead forms, I think is the number one way to do it, because if you can qualify them on the ad level with either in a video or image format or the copyright on your ad, by the time they get to the lead form, just ask a few simple questions. They already know what they're getting themselves into because of the ad level ad. Right. A few simple questions on the lead form, and you got yourself a new lead there.
Yeah, so I'm just trying to imagine kind of this like hypothetical landing page that we're talking through. So lead gen form on one side with like 3 to 4 questions for them to fill out. And then I know you really like video kind of in the hero spot. So I'm imagining that on the other side. Is that kind of the basic composition that we're sort of talking about here if you're going to use a lead gen form at the top?
Yeah, so lead gen's a tad different than your typical landing page or advertorial because we want to keep it as simple as possible. Again, we're not, most of the time, we're not really trying to sell them on the lead gen form. We're trying to really always sell them on the ad level, whether that being video or image, qualify them there. By the time they get to the lead gen form, it should be extremely simple. They should just fill in their information, email, number, whatnot. But the ad level's got to do that job of selling, I believe, when it comes to lead gen forms. So above the fold with lead gen, I actually tend to use images actually more than videos because I want to keep it extremely simple. I don't want to confuse them at all. I sold them on the ad level already. So now they're here on the lead gen form. Just please fill out your information and we'll get back to you. We'll reach back out. So we've seen a lot of success. Simplicity is king when it comes to copy and lead gen forms.
That's a great recommendation there. So just just kind of running through my little list here before we move on, but I know that another sort of like just call out for businesses about why your landing page might not be as effective as you want it to be. Broken links are a really common thing to come across. I know that we've come across that a bunch of times with clients that don't even realize that they have landing pages full of broken links. Yeah.
Yeah, this happens time and time again. We got to triple, quadruple check everything, make sure tracking is working, the links on the page are working. You'll be surprised how many clients, that don't double check this stuff and just kind of put the page live, and then they run into plethora of issues, after the fact. So always putting a good process in place to make sure that, they're always working and whatnot. And having, people in the right positions, making sure your developer is doing his job correctly. Every stage is extremely important. My worst nightmare would be is if I had a site and a customer gets there and the data looks good and the link is broken and we lose not only money but we're losing potential customers, and it'll just become a huge headache. But it seems like something that would be common sense for the most part, but they do break, and it's constant maintenance that kind of has to go into it, or at least making sure that you put a process in place to make sure that these things don't happen would be very, very beneficial. So we don't have to deal with the headache of fixing it after the fact.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think just diving a little bit further here, I want to talk through some best practices, recommendations. Maybe 5 to 10 things that every landing page needs. Yeah. I can sort of maybe lead you through this list here and throw some topics at you to chew on. Does that sound good?
Sure. Yeah, sounds great.
Cool. So maybe just starting with clear value propositions.
We need to clearly communicate the unique value or benefits that visitors will gain from your product or service in a clear and concise way. And you can't be jumping around, and one benefit is being talked about, say above the fold. Another benefit is being talked about, 3 sections down. What's your differentiator? What makes you better than the competition?
Right.
A lot of times, clutter and all this additional information is making things unclear to the typical average person who lands on your website.
I know we did talk about this a little bit, but compelling headline. Anything to really just call out in terms of best practices in a compelling headline?
Yeah. So again, when it comes to crafting a compelling headline, we have to grab attention. And it's not just grabbing random attention, it's really attention that aligns with the visitor's needs. So we have to make it specific, relevant, and focused on, most of the time, solving a problem or fulfilling a desire. This is another thing that I love to split test as well, but it's really important, Matt, to, not only grab attention, but aligning with the visitor's needs and wants is really, really important there.
Yeah, I'm curious, when you talk about a split test for the headline, are you talking about taking 2 separate pages that are essentially identical to one another, except for that one element of the headline? That's really the A/B test that you're conducting?
Yeah, this would be one of the, I do this throughout a bunch of sections in the landing pages, depending on initial data and what we receive back. But yeah, that's definitely one of the areas we're continuously optimizing in.
Can you talk about maybe what the 2 potential buckets are for the different headlines that you might test? Is it, this is like sort of my ignorant ideas maybe is like, it's like the really direct version of the headline versus the brand kind of broad version of the headline? Or like, if you could just define those 2 buckets, what's a valuable test when you're A/B testing a headline on a landing page?
Great question. So it wouldn't be like a tiny, simple test. To me, those are pointless. It's not just changing maybe one word. That's like really, really deep down into scaling, your campaigns. For me, it's something like, okay, hey, I'm going to try 3 different headlines. One is going to be an extremely strong statement
Mm-hmm.
that's gonna talk about a benefit. I would say a question is always something to throw in the test,
Mm-hmm.
and then something with a number at the end of the day. It could be a stat. It could
Yep.
be 5 reasons why, things like that. So this is kind of like where I like to start with
Mm-hmm.
the three headlines to see what resonates best, and then just take advantage of really what's working. And most of the time, it's that strong statement that we collaborate with on the client side that really attracts the viewer and makes them want to read more at the end of the day.
Yeah. I love that. Super actionable. So strong statement versus question versus something with a number, which is great. Not even what I thought you were going to say. I actually thought you were going to say that you like to try like a pain point or a more negative angle in that
Well,
spot too.
yeah, I was literally about to jump in there, Matt. I said there's I mean, that's kind of like the three I start with.
Yeah.
But after the three, I'm talking, there's maybe like 20 other strategies I have to get going. Um, if it's compliant, I still, till this day, love to use the fear factor and, fixing pain, so to say. And as long as it's compliant, those are very, very strong. Till this day, for the last 10, 15 years, that negative kind of fear factor headline, time and time again, works. But
Yeah.
now compliance and things like that are a little bit more strict. So we try to be kind of bringing back my point. Instead of being fully direct response focused, it's more
Sure.
of that fusion between brand and direct response. I'm cleaning it up a little, new aging it a little, so to say.
So just kind of quickly moving down the rest of this list here, can we touch on eye-catching visuals? Just kind of in terms of best practices or how you use them. What is an eye-catching visual to you on a landing page? That kind of thing.
Yeah, so when it comes to eye-catching visuals on a landing page, you definitely need to incorporate high quality and relevant images or graphics.
Mhm.
Visual elements should support your message and also help create a connection with the audience. And this is also extremely important above the fold. So what is an eye-catching image? It tells a message, right? It's not only making me stop scrolling and to want to view it, but
Yeah.
it's telling me something without even having any copy on it. It's telling me a story. It's telling me
Yeah.
it's relating to the copy that could be beside it to make it even more relatable. So it's extremely important, and it comes through experience. It comes through reverse engineering and kind of researching what's out there in the industry.
Just kind of moving down to these calls to action. You kind of you spoke about that before about different strategies that you have in terms of where you put CTAs throughout a page. How you might test one with multiple CTAs throughout a page versus one that either has a CTA that moves with you as you scroll or one that lives at the bottom. I wondered if we could just talk a little bit about the language that we're using on CTAs. I feel like this comes up a lot in these landing page conversations.
Right.
If it's every CTA saying buy now versus buy now, learn more, your discovery call here or whatever it is, all the CTAs are leading to the same place. But what is your thought about using different language on the different buttons?
Yeah, again, in the beginning, I like to keep it kind of simple. The most creative I'll get is if they do have, what I do love including, especially if they have a discount on the product or a particular offer, I will put actually on the CTA, buy now dash, say 25% off.
Yeah.
This way, it's like, really, it's exciting for them too. They're seeing this, even though they may have read it in the article or the page, that there was a discount or whatnot. They showed on the ad level there was a discount. Just having it in that CTA button, is really makes them even more inclined to purchase. People love discounts. People like to feel like they're getting a deal. So including that in the CTA button is always great. And then if you want to get creative, though, if your client is willing to get creative, you can get quirky with it. If you have here's one example. We have a pretty high-end brand that deals with athletic wear, and the CTA for them could be something like become legendary, or
Sure.
take things to the next level. It doesn't have to specifically be buy now. It really depends on how your flow is. Who's your demo? Who are we talking to?
Mhm.
But I just want everybody to know, like, these details are crucial. Everything we're talking about today, sometimes even call to actions, they're kind of a second thought, third thought. And, it's just as important as everything else. And then one thing, even outside of buttons, people should do a little bit more of, most of the time, mostly on the advertorial level, over the homepage level, but hyperlinking, specific words or phrases,
Right.
Even a quote or company name, throughout the article. That just gives them another touch point to get to the checkout stage.
How about mobile responsiveness? Ensure that your landing page is optimized for mobile devices. Any sort of key features to keep an eye on when you're doing that?
Yeah, so everybody must go mobile first. Back in the day, it was always desktop first. Now we really got to focus mobile first. We really have to do that. We obviously know there's a continuous increase of users accessing sites on mobile. Mm-hmm. So a responsive design is crucial for a positive user experience. You can't just take, most of the time, you can't just take a desktop design and develop it into a mobile design. It'll look all funky, the spacing's off. And even if you are running on both, there's even one more level to it. A lot of people have the same copy, same visuals on desktop that they do on mobile. Mm-hmm. But when by the time you optimize it for mobile, it just looks all wonky and it's long and, maybe we have to condense it. So there's more to it than just stylizing it for mobile. It's really making sure the copy length, at times is not too long, a little bit condense your paragraphs. Even the headline, you only get one scroll. So we got to make sure that's super impactful, not as long as maybe the one on your desktop. Yeah. So really customizing and making sure that your mobile responsiveness is top notch, because that at the end of the day is probably going to get most of your conversions, even if it's not. It's extremely important, and it's sad to see that a lot of people just don't optimize for mobile for some reason these days, and missing out on a ton of sales that way. So really, really important, and everybody should focus on mobile first, really, design when it comes to that.
Yeah, it's such a great call out, because I feel like that so often happens where it's kind of like, I think maybe we just from a human standpoint, we think of the desktop view because it's kind of the bigger kind of thing. You put it up on your computer and you're like looking at, like, it almost like lets you celebrate like your landing page. Look at everything I'm doing on this landing page. And it's like, oh yeah, and also we need it for mobile. So just like whip that up, it's like an afterthought. Yeah. And I love what you're saying. It's like get ahead of the 8 ball, like almost design the mobile version first. Make sure that that's like a really tight experience. And then, you can kind of work on breaking it all out into a larger format for desktop. The next point, which I love this, scannable content, right? So can you just talk a little bit about that, using headers and subheadlines and such?
Yeah, so just put yourself in anybody's shoes, in a customer's shoes, right? Scannable content. When we're on websites, when we land on a page, when we see an advertorial, we're not always reading everything from A to Z. We don't have the time. We're not intrigued. Something else is going on. We want to bounce off the page. But for those people who, really are not going to read the whole article, you got to write it where if somebody does read the whole article, they're going to read the whole article. You got to write it in that way. Mm-hmm. But you also have to write it in a way where, like you said, scannable content for those ones who are only going to be on the page for 5-10 seconds, using headers, subheadings, bullet points, and short paragraphs to make your content easily scannable and digestible is going to really help you out. And visitors should really quickly understand the key points of your offering. So, making the headlines or headers of each section bigger, adding nice visuals to really get the message across without having to think too much, just in case they're not able to read, the whole article that day or the whole page that day, or really don't have the time. So if I'm able to hit them with, 4 or 5 strong headlines, at least if they skip one or two, they go down to the third or fourth one, which they're interested in, and can read that part as well. So it's good to have a combination of kind of both, where, you write it clearly for that reader, But then it's extremely important to make it scannable for the one who's really not going to be on that page for too long, that we still want to kind of keep them engaged with that scannable content.
Yeah, it's like never underestimate how impatient your potential client is. How impatient, how selfish, how scatterbrained, you know, how busy.
More,
Uh,
yeah, they're more impatient. As time goes on, the people are becoming more and more impatient. So, I don't know the exact stats, but we only get maybe 1 to 2 seconds with them now, to really capture their attention and make them stick on that page.
Before we wrap up, I'd really love to just talk about a couple of different types of landing pages that we test, different advertorials. You discuss listicles a little bit, kind of the different types and maybe when we use them, or even better, instances when you have used them would be great as well.
An editorial combined with an ad to make
Right.
an advertorial, just for those of you who aren't familiar with that. But when it comes to that, these are extremely qualifying pages. It goes from the ad level to the advertorial, and then most of the time to checkout. So some styles for that. Ones that are becoming even more popular these days are comparison pages, us versus them. So this type of page is going to be, talking about the wonderful benefits, but then below the fold, probably in the middle somewhere, a lot of times it's what I call us versus them, right? So it's comparing your benefits versus either a main competitor or industry-wide benefits. So a lot of check marks, a lot of green over here, and then when your competitor, a lot of X's.
Before we move into the listicle, actually, I wanted you to just talk a little bit through like a more traditional like ad versus like ad editorial like integration. Like I know that a lot of times it'll be like one person, it's like kind of like a customer telling a story. It's basically like an article of a customer telling their story to get to a product or that kind of thing. Can you speak a little bit about that sort of page or strategy?
Yeah, for sure. So there's a ton of different styles or ways to write an advertorial. Again, depending on the client or industry, that's going to vary. So personal stories, I've seen a lot of success with. Just an example is I tried XYZ product. Yes, supplements, health and beauty, really any sort of ecom sort of product, financial products, wide variety. So really, it's pretty versatile sort of format there. And getting into just some other types of advertorials, I want to give you a real example. So, for example, if you're promoting a complex product or service, a long form advertorial or comparison landing page, like we talked about before, might be more suitable. But if you're highlighting the benefits of your offering, a listicle or 5 reasons why format, I think could work really well, because it's keeping it simplified. It's giving you a headline, an opening paragraph, and here's 5 reasons why you must try X product.
Yeah.
Right. So it's pretty simple format. It can be, a wide variety of angles with it, a wide variety of industries. And I like these a lot because as you see an angle working on the ad level, you can bring that to the listicle format before, putting in so much effort into the other ones that take a little longer to do. This listicle format is literally one paragraph, 5 reasons why you should be purchasing this product or trying the product. Next to each of the 5 reasons would be a nice visual and, a really short 3 to 5 sentence descriptor. But, again, just super simplified page that gives people a quick 5 reasons why to get the product right away before even ever reaching your website. So it basically takes your 5 biggest points, your 5 biggest benefits, and puts them in a way, in a storytelling way, puts them together in a way that, really sells the product before they get to your landing page. And time again, I see this working really, really well. And I would highly recommend it.
Yeah, I feel like you just kind of passed over what I think of as an important point. Yeah, adding pictures, making it visual. Those pictures help break up the text always. So
For sure.
something like a listicle like you're talking about, it's a snackable kind of piece, even just saying 5 reasons why sets an expectation of how much you're going to have to read, right? So a lot of really great.
Yeah, that's a good point, Matt.
features.
With 5 reasons, you get what you're getting yourself into. It's literally it's gonna be a 30-second, 2-minute read, whatever it is. And just back to the point of scalable content, the 5 reasons why article, when it's a scalable content, making sure the headlines of each of the 5 reasons, or the statement there is really strong, just in case, they're passing through really fast. But I did touch on, Matt, one point that I really want to talk about is long form advertorials. One of my favorites. Obviously I like to test all 3, but long form to me is really, really crucial and important for really 50 plus demos. If you have a 50 plus demo, they love long form advertorials. I would highly recommend them. Again, these are really long. So they got to be super engaging. And there's, a few factors we need to consider when determining your next landing page test. There's a wide variety. These are just a couple examples that I'm talking about right now.
Yeah, and I feel like, Chris, would I be correct to say that I feel like the long form advertorial, you specifically have a lot of skills in writing those pages. You've kind of put in your 10,000 hours writing those long form advertorials. So you're sort of I know that's you're sort of specially positioned to be kind of using that tactic. Yeah.
For sure. Yeah. Again, this is kind of bringing back my direct response experience as well.
Yeah.
So I use a lot of direct response tactics in these long form landing pages. Sorry. Mm-hmm. But again, we've seen so much success with it, and it's really cool to see it work because it was part of our iteration process. And I want to give you a real life example where a client, we were doing really well. This is in the health industry, and the ads were always doing amazing. The CTRs were great. CPCs look good, all that good stuff. But when they were getting to the landing page, I don't know why, or they didn't know why. It wasn't converting. I know why, I should say. Because their landing page was just not strong enough. So not only did I iterate their landing page, we started getting conversions, but simultaneously, I recommended this long form advertorial because their demo is 55 and above. Yeah. Right. And they're more, they're higher probability of converting on these longer format videos, longer format landing pages. And now, that client's still scaling that page from literally a year and a half ago. It's spent over $4 or $5 million in the past couple of years, or year and a half, I should say. Yeah, I think, again, depending on your demo, depending on what your actual goal is, it's going to vary what sort of advertorial or landing page you're going to want to test out. But just some of the ones I would recommend, again, are us versus them, comparison pages, reviews, long form advertorials, one of my favorites, 5 reasons why listicles, and even like native feeling articles, personal stories, reviews, things like that.
Yeah. So many great options there, Chris. Thank you so much. If you are interested in trying out any of the strategies that we have talked about here today, you can get a free copy of Jump's landing page optimization principles in the link below in the description. Or if you're interested in working with Jump's team directly to explode your own digital growth, you can get in touch with us for a discovery call at www.jump450.com. You might even get Chris himself working on your account. Chris, thank you so much for being here today. And everybody else, we'll see you next time.